The CFL is back in the Maritimes, and the Grey Cup is there too. For the first time in 6 years, they'll play a regular season game in Moncton, New Brunswick. It's between the Argos and the Alouettes. And it is coming up next on the CFL on TSN. Time to play a little catch with some fans in Moncton.
Real quick. And he's going deep for Walker again. Darrell Walker, touchdown. What a catch. Rodney Smith, say hello to SportsCenter. Trying to go himself. Touchdown for Adams Jr.
While the league is back in Moncton, William Stanback is back from Montreal. The Alouettes' leading rusher returning today to face the Argos after missing the past two games. Not the only one ready to make a return, too. Toronto quarterback James Franklin will see some action today for the Double Blue after missing the past 2 months. He is expected to split time with McLeod, Bethel, Thompson at quarterback for the Argos, who desperately need a victory today. They are the home team in Moncton for this game. Touchdown Atlantic, and welcome to our coverage of it. Our CFL studio, Rod Smith, Henry Burris, Davis Sanchez, and Milt Stegall. Mentioned the Argos needing that victory coming off the loss last week to Edmonton. The Montreal Alouettes have a chance to really make a statement in the East. They're at 4-4, Milton, coming off that dramatic overtime win, impressively led by Vernon Adams in Calgary.
Yeah, you talk about it. They're trying to create more separation from the Ottawa Red Blacks and stay closer to these Hamilton Tiger Cats. And it starts with their quarterback, who maybe had his best game as a pro last week, leading his team to victory in overtime victory versus Calgary Stampeders. Over 400 yards passing, 2 touchdowns rushing, and 2 touchdowns receiving. But he can't afford to take any steps backwards. This is a game he's supposed to win. He has to go out there and produce.
His number one receiver last week, Geno Lewis, who kicked in the door and said, CFL, I'm here. We don't realize Geno Lewis, his dad was an NBA player. He was actually playing semi-pro basketball when the Owls signed him. This guy's an athlete. He's finding his own now in his 3rd year in the league.
Throw the 50-50 ball to that guy right there.
Go get it.
But, I'm going to reflect on the other side, because right now Corey Chamberlain made a statement about flip-flopping quarterbacks. And you know myself as a quarterback, I hate the term flip-flopping quarterbacks. But right now, McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, over the past 2 games, I thought this offense has played quite well. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and just around 600 yards as far as in his production of keeping this team, which included a victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who currently have the top record in this league. Corey Chamberlain, you got to make a decision on who's your guy. Is it James Franklin? Is it McLeod, Bethel, Thompson? Because right now you're only 3 games behind Montreal for second. Yeah. They still have a chance.
They're 1-7, Henry.
They still have a chance.
They're 1-7.
They still have a chance to win that 3rd place spot.
You played in the last game in Moncton 6 years ago with the Ticats. Do you have fun?
It was awesome. It's like a mini Grey Cup.
We're looking forward to it. Rod Black, Dwayne Ford will have the call as the Argos come out for touchdown Atlantic.
On a magnificent day in the Maritimes, the CFL touches down in Moncton for Touchdown Atlantic, the 4th time making the trek here, the Montreal Alouettes and the Toronto Argonauts. Good afternoon. Good morning to those of you in the West. Hello, Canada. Welcome to what could be another special day in the Maritimes.
It certainly could. And here's a guy who's had some special days in the Maritimes before. Big star for the Montreal Alouettes, middle linebacker Enoch Mwamba, former President's Trophy winner as the top defensive player in Canadian University football during his time at St. Francis Xavier University. The man he'll be looking to shut down. Brandon Burks makes his 4th consecutive start as the Argos running back in place of James Wilder. Wilder a scratch for the Argonauts today as Burks looks to cement his hold on that running back spot.
Corey Chamberlain talking about it being a ratio thing right now. Corey Chamberlain, the goal right now is just to win. 1-7 the Argos against the 4-4 revitalized Alouettes, who have won 4 of their last 6, coming off a dramatic win against Calgary in overtime last week. We're ready to kick it off here at Croix Bleu Medavie Stadium on the University of Moncton. Boris Bede is going to kick it off. Alouettes in white, Argos in double blue, and here we go. Touchdown Atlantic. A long kick down to Chris Rainey from the 15 up near the 25-yard line, and that's where McLeod Bethel Thompson will bring the offense out and try to get this win for the Argos. Right now, a team that had their first game against an Eastern opponent, then 6 straight against the West, and now 3 crucial games against the East.
Yeah, exactly. They know they had a tough schedule to start the season. Feel like if they want to get into that playoff picture, obviously they've got to win some of these head-to-head games against Eastern opponents.
Bethel Thompson with Brandon Burks beside him. Looks like he wants to throw right away, and he will right away, and it's dropped. Terrell Walker up near the 40-yard line.
Well, we take a look at the Toronto Argonauts offensive unit. Keep an eye, of course, on S.J. Green, the former Montreal Alouette, and the guy they look to get things jump-started today. A little bit of a shuffle happening on that offensive line. The American William Campbell slated to move into guard. Jamal Campbell, the York University product, at right tackle.
They'll run a draw play out of the backfield, and Burks hustles and muscles for about 9 yards here. Give Corey Chamberlain a look. Referee today, Kim Murphy, taking a look at that. They'll spot it for 3rd down. It looks like the Argos will go for this.
Yeah, got to try and keep some momentum here, or establish some momentum out of the gate when you're the Toronto Argonauts.
Argonaut team last week losing home game against the Eskimos, the annual X game, BMO Field. So the first 3rd down gamble of this ball game in the first series. And look who's behind center. It is James Franklin. Corey Chamberlain told us yesterday you're going to see some James Franklin back in the lineup after being on the 6-game injured list. Started the first 2 games of the season. Franklin is back. You'll see him behind center, likely some short yardage and maybe a couple of other series as well.
Well, Franklin is a guy who has proven during his time in the Canadian Football League that he be effective, very comfortable running that short yardage unit. A whole lot of touchdowns for him.
They'll pitch it off to Rainey, running the sweep on the far side. Also an Alouettes team and Alouettes defense that has been dominant of late over the last 6 games, and led up front, of course, by the veteran John Bowman, but others too.
Yeah, looking for Antonio Simmons as high-end athlete, a guy to round into form as that provide that bookend to John Bowman. Mentioned Enoch Mwamba, outstanding in the middle. Bola Kumbo starts in place of the injured Taylor Laughlin.
Oh, McLeod Bethel Thompson somehow avoided that sack. A little slip and slide as Patrick Levels, who's had 3 sacks over the last 3 games. He actually leads the Alouettes in sacks. Almost had his 4th.
Yeah, keep an eye on Levels here. He's just going to come free around the outside. Argos, a little bit of confusion in terms of their protection scheme, because in terms of numbers, they have an opportunity to get out to him. Levels having an absolutely outstanding season. First is an Alouette.
Ronnie Peffer. Back to punt. Peffer, who started the season, then was injured. Nice directional kick to Shakir Ryan, the speedster. Can only step out of bounds. Nice kick, minimal return. And Vernon Adams coming off one of his most dramatic wins last week. Back at the helm for the Owls at Touchdown Atlantic next.
Chalet. Taste it once, love it forever.
A week ago, Alouettes secured one of their biggest wins of 2019, coming back 11 down late in the fourth, getting an onside kick and eventually winning it in overtime in Calgary against the powerhouse Stamps. Matched their record 4-4.
And the legend of Vernon Adams continues to grow in Montreal. A big part, of course, of this team's turnaround in 2019.
Vernon, William Stanback back in the lineup. Play action there.
Good shot, Vern. Good shot.
Far side. Making the catch is Felix Faubert-Lucier. It's his first catch as an Alouette right away.
And you know the respect that every defense has to have for William Stanback. They show that play action that holds the defense to the inside as everybody pitches down towards the Alouette running back, allows Adams to slide outside of the pocket and deliver that strike downfield to Faubert-Lucier.
Former Hamilton Tiger Cat, member of the Laval Rouge et Or, and Jeremiah Johnson gets the touch this time. You'll see them alternate their backs with Johnson and William Stanback from time to time, but Stanback was the starter.
Yes, sir. You take a look at this offensive unit. Some massive performances last week, but I want to talk about Jake Winicky. This guy makes a lot of big catches. 4 touchdowns for him already. 7 second down conversions on only 13 catches on the season. Little shuffling of the O-line. Chris Schluger and Canadian Spencer Wilson start at the tackle spots this week. Tony Washington is out at left tackle.
Montreal team's offensive numbers have improved so much. 4 to the right. Adams throwing, tipped. Incomplete. Looking for Winicky that time. On second down, no conversion. So again, kick team comes out.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
So does this guy, Chris Rainey, who's already had a return for a touchdown in the year of the return. See if some New Brunswick fans today will be treated to one. This is against the wind and bounces out of bounds at the 30. That's where McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and the Argos will start when we come back to Moncton. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan. Ranked #1 in quality by J.D. Power. A spectacular August day. Great crowd here. Blue Medavie Stadium, University of Moncton, the 4th ever touchdown Atlantic. Last one in 2013. McLeod, Bethel Thompson.
There you go.
Rodney Smith has that. Makes it a much easier second down, second and short.
Well, we take a look at the history of touchdown Atlantic events played here in lovely Moncton, New Brunswick. All began back in 2010. See the Toronto Argonauts a part of that one. Montreal Alouettes taking part in the last few TDAs.
Good cutback. Brandon Burks, first down Toronto. Well, Moncton was a destination, of course, a few years ago. Possibility of a CFL franchise coming here. There's always been a long talk of the Maritimes, and now with the Atlantic Schooners as a franchise, the question is in Halifax, when, where, how will this team arrive? We'll chat to the ownership group a little bit later today. Burks makes the catch on the far side, or did he? Looks like he did. One official saying yes, but there is a flag down. Play will be wiped out.
Holding, Toronto, number 66. That's a 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Moncton is really the hub of the Maritimes here in New Brunswick.
Yeah. Basically within about 3 hours of all the other major cities in the Maritimes.
West of PEI, northwest of Halifax, east of Fredericton. Bethel Thompson delivers a strike close to the first down, or actually close to the initial line of scrimmage. And once again, it's Rodney Smith. It'll be second down once more.
Well, big opportunity for the Argos starting this game with the wind at their backs in terms of the exchange of the football. Some chances to start with pretty good field position for the Argos here, and obviously desire to make some hay early. Getting in a hole early on in games has been part of their downfall so far this season.
Bethel Thompson, who's been a master at comebacks, and now a cutback by Burks. And looks like the spot will be favorable, and they'll move the chains here. Should be a first down, Argos. It is. Bolacombo there again at free safety with Taylor Loeffler now on the injury list, and that's a big loss for the Alouettes. Combo moves into free safety.
And you're seeing a commitment here early on to establishing Brandon Burks as part of this Argonaut offensive game plan.
Bethel Thompson against the grain once more. Another strike here.
Back behind the sticks, please, gentlemen.
31-year-old Californian. Last two games, high completion percentage.
Yeah.
No picks.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I mean, you look at it prior to those last two games. Bethel Thompson with more interceptions than touchdowns on the season. 7 TDs, 9 picks. But then 5-0, 5 TDs, no picks the last two games. So if you're looking for positives for the Toronto Argonauts, those are the biggies.
Terrell Walker moving the chains once more in his first catch. Walker, the Argos' leading receiver, 7th in the CFL coming into week 11. Close to 600 yards on the season.
Impressive considering he was basically a forgotten man the first couple weeks of the season.
Look out, Bethel Thompson goes down. Greg Reed comes off the edge. First sack of the ball game. And first sack of the season for Greg Reed.
Well, watch for Greg Reed coming from down here. Free man off the edge. Unblocked guy as they squeeze to protect the inside.
Speaking of squeeze, good on MBT to hang on to that football.
Sir.
Second and long. They're on a draw play. To Rainey. Chris Rainey zigging and zagging. Just gets past the line of scrimmage, setting up a third down. They'll bring out the kick team here. The wind is kind of funky today, the way it works here, University of Moncton. You can see the flags on both ends kind of going in opposite directions. For the most part, though, this kick will be with the breeze for Tyler Krapina. Or Mac Marauder will try to put the Argos on the board from the 39-yard line. Only missed once this season. Krapina puts it through, and the Argos strike first. 2019 touchdown Atlantic, but some pads popping already. First sack of the game, Greg Reed. Alouette football when we come back to Moncton. Next week, they say the season kind of really kicks off. Labor Day weekend.
Rivalries everywhere.
Rivalries. Bombers, Riders Sunday. Argos, Cats will be at Tim Hortons Field 40 on Monday, and then followed by the Battle of Alberta. And parents everywhere the next day say hallelujah. Kids going back to school.
Yes.
The Maritimes. Atlantic Canada is so good to be out here for touchdown Atlantic. 3-0 Argos. 5.5 to go first quarter. Hit screen. Far side Quan Bray. Flag down.
Flag down early over on that pitch side.
Toronto, number 14. That's a 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Abdul Kenna trying to get a jump start on things as we take a look at the Argonaut defense. Davon Coleman at defensive tackle makes his first start in double blue after coming over in the Sean Lemon trade. Mentioned Kenna moving from his traditional halfback spot into the nickel linebacker spot. Jermaine Gabriel moves back to his regular spot at free safety this week.
Vernon Adams. Again, the handoff to Jeremiah Johnson. Johnson missed the first 3 games. The former BC Lion has played the last 4 games. Standback has also been on the shelf. JJ, the dancing machine, has not found the end zone yet. When he does, he'll be dancing.
Yeah, he saved his dancing from between the white lines. Lately had a big effort against Calgary last week.
Stays in the backfield, obviously easing Standback. Back into the fray on second down. Should be a first down. William Standback has missed the last 2 games. Before he was on the shelf, Standback was the CFL's leading rusher. He's still 3rd overall in the Canadian Football League, having a breakout year.
Yeah, kind of the centerpiece of this Al's rebuilding effort. He was a guy who really established himself last year. You see youngsters like Vernon Adams now emerging this season. Quan Bray joining the fold.
Adams strong on the far side, back to Bray. Former Auburn Tiger, Quan Bray. In his first year with the Argos.
CFL fans may remember Quan Bray's cousin Jason, former CFL DB, early 2000s with Calgary Stampeders, BC Lions, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Talked with Quan a couple of weeks ago and asked him, who's the best quarterback besides Vernon Adams that he's played with, and he said Andrew Luck, who, by the way, shocked the football world yesterday with his retirement announcement. He played with Andrew Luck in Indianapolis. Johnson, right side, seeking first down. Looks like he will step out of bounds. And this Alouette offense has really been balanced so far, run to pass.
Yeah, doing a nice job on offense. You look at it and you kind of think typically built around Standback, but we look forward to the addition of Jeremiah Johnson, how they would work him in games when the two of them were dressed. Obviously, Johnson, as you mentioned earlier, Rod, seeing a big role today in Standback's first game back on the roster after missing a couple due to injury.
4-man rush. Adams again. Very tight spiral and a good dart to Weineke. South Dakota State star fights his way into Argo territory. 2.5 to go, opening quarter here at Moncton.
Keep an eye on Weineke, number 3 receiver coming out of the slot. Just hooks up in the soft spot rather than running into the coverage of the corner, Alden Darby Jr. along that sideline.
The second in inches. Adams, left side, plows ahead. Vernon Adams, you talk about breakouts. This is the breakout. A guy who it might feel like is playing like a rookie of the year because he has been here for a few years, by no stretch a rookie, but this is really the best we've seen him and the most action that Vernon Adams has seen since he came to Canada.
Well, yeah, I mean, the longest extended action that Vernon Adams has had, and his confidence seems to grow, Rod, with every week. It's a scary thing for opposing defenses.
Man down on the field. We'll come back to Moncton. Touchdown Atlantic will continue. Always great to be in Atlantic, Canada, especially for some CFL football, but an even more emotional and special day for one family. With more, let's go to the sideline. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Rod, Tristan Reese was tragically murdered earlier this year, the first murder victim in Halifax, but that's not the story. The story is about his mother, Dale Russell, who was there for the coin toss today, and her story is so powerful, her love is so powerful for her son. She is wearing his high school football jersey. He was only 19 years old.
It is a tale.
She has given so much love with respect to the suspect who murdered her son, asking for him to come forward, pledging her forgiveness. But she's here today, she told me, because her son's dream was to play in the CFL. She looked me in the eye and said, I'm fulfilling my son's dream. I'm here for him. This is where he was going to be, so I am here. Rock.
Thank you, Matt. There is Tristan. May he rest in power. Citadel High School star who played the line, played linebacker, played quarterback, played everything. Loved football. It's so nice to see his mom here today with family members. And our condolences to the entire family. The loss of Tristan Reese. Vernon Adams throwing far side. He's picked off. The first interception of the ball game by Kevin Fogg of the Toronto Argonauts. Sixth pick by Adams this season, thrown by him, and this one right into traffic.
Yeah, watch Fogg sitting inside, and this is such a long throw to get out to that wide sideline. Fogg with plenty of time as he's sitting looking into the backfield. Spots Adams open up that way, has a chance to get underneath it and make a play.
Former Blue Bomber, former Liberty Star, first pick as an Argonaut. Toronto team that is dead last.
Time count violation. Toronto, number 4. That's a 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Dead last by a long shot in the CFL in the turnover ratio at -17 coming in. That is a big boost early on for the men in blue. Minute to go, first quarter.
Now, hey Mama, hey Brian, hey Mike, Grace, Rick, love y'all.
Native of Raleigh, North Carolina. Cloud, Bethel Thompson, and that was almost picked right back.
A deflected ball lands just beyond the outstretched arm. Former Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawk Chris Aki dropped his coverage zone. Once again looking to put the ball in the hands of Brandon Burks.
Second down and 15. Another last stat category. Second down conversions. The Argos this year. Pounded on the far side. There are flags down. Jimmy Ralph made the catch. Greg Reed with the hit. Looked like it was offside.
Hey, remember, it's on down.
Looks like it's against the Argos.
Yeah, I think the receivers.
Offside. Toronto. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Looked like the Argo receivers were on the move a little bit early there. The Owls declined the penalty and forced the punt situation.
Talked about the Golden Hawks, another Laurier star, Ronnie Peffer. Shakir Ryan is back near his 40. High kick into that blue sky. Ryan gets a block. Tried to shake one and not another. Frank Beltry downfield quickly for his 11th special team tackle of the season.
Available intelligent around view monitor and standard rear cross traffic alert. Don't settle for less than the Nissan.
Special teams player making his impact felt for the Argonauts.
So that turnover does not result in any points. It'll be the final play of this opening frame. Looks like maybe one more. Right into the gut of that Argo line. So it doesn't matter where the CFL game is played this season, even in the Maritimes. Here is a common trend, is it not? Low scoring, almost no scoring first quarter. Things seem to open up in the second quarter.
Yeah, easing their way into it, feeling each other out. We get an indication of the parity we're seeing in this 2019 season as well.
A little poker game that also goes on. Here comes a blitz from the edge, picked up. Adams stepping up, now dancing, and he goes down. Not a sack, looks like he got to the line of scrimmage. That's the first quarter, just a Tyler Krapina field goal. We had a turnover, didn't result in points. It's touchdown Atlantic, and the Argos lead the Owls 3-0 after one.
Now, Canada.
Just a great day here in Moncton, New Brunswick for the 2019 Touchdown Atlantic. Could be a precursor, of course. We hope it's a precursor to the Atlantic Schooners soon to begin in the Canadian Football League. Two men who are heavily involved, Anthony LeBlanc and Bruce Bowser from the Schooner Sports and Entertainment Group. First of all, congratulations for pulling this off today.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's been a long process, but we're excited with this great crowd and, more importantly, this great weather.
Now, I know probably about a month and a half ago you may have had your doubts, mostly because at the time they were talking about this being a night game.
Yeah, 7 o'clock at night was probably not the right time for us to have the game, but as it turns out, it's a perfect time. Beautiful day.
Got a great crowd here. Boris Beatty's going to kick this back to Chris Rainey. Bruce, you ever called a football game before?
I have not called a football game before, Rod.
It's funny, neither have we. It's great to have you guys here. As Rainey brings it back. Obviously, the big question, this is a showcase. It's been here before. This is the fourth time that the CFL's come to the Maritimes. When will it be coming permanently to the Maritimes?
We've been working very closely with our partners at the Halifax Regional Municipality and the province of Nova Scotia over the last really couple of years. But in the next week to 2 weeks, we'll be submitting a formal business case and proposal to HRM senior staff, and we think that is going to be a very big launching point for the long-term prospects.
Wow, Bethel Thompson handing it off to Rainey. So what have been some of the challenges, Bruce? I know that everybody's been excited. You know, granted the franchise, the Atlantic Schooners, you have the name. What kind of has been a hold-up?
I think the biggest challenge is that there is no building. If there was a building, we would have been playing last season. I think that's fair to say. So, you know, getting people interested in the game down here has not been hard, as you can see from today.
Bethel Thompson throwing against the grain.
All right.
Well, obviously, gentlemen, there's always been this feeling that a team in Atlantic Canada would be a regional team that's going to draw from all over. But what's been your sense, obviously not being in Halifax for this game, but being in Moncton, of kind of the impact on the maritime community as a whole?
Well, I think it's a great point that, you know, we said from the beginning, and our third partner, Gary Drummond's from Regina, so we've always looked at Saskatchewan as the model that makes sense for Atlantic Canada. So, you know, having a game here in Moncton makes a lot of sense to us because, you know, the long-term prospects of a team in Halifax has to draw from the entire region. So, you know, we've talked in the past about the concept of maybe involving Moncton in a long-term process. Maybe we play a first or second season in Moncton while the stadium's being built in Halifax. So, you know, the turnout today is very, very encouraging.
Second down and 4. Bethel Thompson over the top. Rodney Smith's been very busy. Stadium's been a bit of a holdup. I know you probably would have liked to start it before now. What is a realistic timeline, do you think, for the Atlantic Schooners to be up and running?
I think it's fair to say that over the next 3 to 4 months, we'll work closely with our partners at HRM staff for them to put together a recommendation for elected officials. And then, you know, I think once that happens, then we can start looking at that prospect of maybe starting the season here as early as 2021.
Great family.
That's what I do, man. Hey, that's what I do, Corey. Me and you the same age.
McLeod Bethel Thompson using his legs again, right there. So,
stadium-wise, where are you on that? I know everybody's talked about Shannon Park in Dartmouth.
Shannon Park is a site that we're currently focused on. Work with Canada Lands trying to secure that site. I'm especially particular to that site because I grew up there. as a young man. It was a military base, and I just think it's a great spot. It's on the water. There's so many great football stadiums around North America on the water. I think it would be a landmark for Halifax.
Obviously, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the stadium is the thing that gets most talked about, as that's the next and most important step. But what would sort of be the order of operations for you guys after that?
Well, I think once we start getting approvals on the stadium front, then we can start doing the important stuff like hiring football operations people so they can put a scouting staff together. Because if we are talking about a concept of looking at a team operating as early as 2021, I mean, we got to get to work in the next couple of months to be ready for that.
Tyler Crapigna. And that is through off the upright and in. That counts, by the way. Anthony LeBlanc, Bruce Bowser, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Congratulations
thank you,
on
Rod.
today, and 2 words. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Miller of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a proud native of Riverview, New Brunswick, and you're watching Touchdown Atlantic on TSN.
Mike Miller from Riverview, just nearby. Great football area here. Moncton, surprisingly, doesn't have a university football team, and there are a lot of teams in the Atlantic region. Mike played his football at Acadia. Vernon Adams is sacked, flags down.
Sack on the play, sacks a call.
First sack, it looks like Davon Coleman has an Argo wearing number 23. You know why he wears 23?
Holding Montreal, number 54. That penalty is declined. Second down.
It is Coleman's first sack. You know why he wears 23?
Why does he wear 23?
Guess who his favorite athlete is?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. And LeBron James. Used to wear 0, remember? Then he wore 9.
Those non-traditional D tackle numbers.
They didn't let him wear 0 in BC. That's why he wore 9. Hamilton and BC. Jeremiah Johnson carrying the bulk of the workload here in the Argo defense, suffocating the Alouettes on this drive.
That defensive front doing a terrific job in that particular series, getting after Vernon Adams, containing Jeremiah Johnson.
Day. And nowhere to go, Chris Rainey.
That's all right.
Down.
By moving up, great heads-up play to get 15 yards on the return out of nothing.
Big plays today, defensively. That's the kind of game it is here. The 19-touchdown Atlantic. 4th and final Grand Slam of the year gets underway tomorrow from New York City. Hard courts of the U.S. Open. 11 a.m. Eastern it all starts, 8 a.m. Pacific. Only on TSN. Tennis lives here. CFL lives here too, and the CFL could be living here in the Maritimes, as we just heard from the ownership group, the Atlantic Schooners. Brandon Brooks. I know we've talked about it a lot through the years, and I think some people might have thought it would have happened a little earlier. I think they're doing their due diligence and process. There still is, some political stuff to go through, some hurdles. But how good would it be, first of all, to have a 10th team, and then to have a team in Halifax?
To truly be coast to coast would be big, I think, culturally for the CFL. But yeah, from a logistics point of view, I'm going to tell them how to do the schedule, because I don't want to see. We got an East-West divisional playoff format, then we should not be playing a balanced schedule. Just saying.
Good point.
I've got it all figured out.
Randy Ambrosie's here, you can tell him. S.J. Green, Keith, reception, Armani Edwards as well. Well, one of the things that maybe some of the fans in Canada don't know about, is the hotbed that exists here. The youth sport that started yesterday, started this week, by the way.
Things are getting going.
All the kids in university playing football across Canada. And some great stars have come from the Maritimes in the past. And great teams, great coaches, and great support.
Yeah, certainly have. We saw a message from Mike Miller earlier, his teammate Jake Thomas, former Acadia product from Douglas, New Brunswick.
Bethel Thompson delivers. And Rodney Smith has been a busy cat. 6 catches already. Not even a quarter and a half inside the score zone, the red zone, down near the 5-yard line.
Well, Rodney Smith is a guy who provides great size as an inside receiver, big target for McLeod. Bethel Thompson, a guy who's flown under the radar a little bit, certainly with Darrell Walker drawing much attention. Of course, S.J. Green, the proven guy in there.
Chris Rainey looking for blocks, but running out of room on the far side on the edge.
Well, there you get a good look at the acceleration of Chris Rainey. He's a guy on whom you think you've got outside leverage and you're going to be able to cut him off. And you just see a point here where he shifts gears right here, decides he's going to head for the sideline and get around that corner. Just messes up everybody's pursuit angles. That was a play that looked like it was going to get killed behind the line of scrimmage, but he managed to turn the corner and get it upfield.
Argos have struggled in the red zone this season and last week. McLeod Bethel Thompson said yesterday they have to treat it like a new drive every time. Not this time. And they struggle again inside the 20 where defenses really tighten up. And for the Argos, looks like another miss here. Will they bring out the kick team? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. 3rd and goal from the 6. Bethel Thompson to throw. He does. Touchdown! Jimmy Ralph has his first. And a souvenir for Jimmy Ralph.
Yeah,
his first CFL touchdown.
Sending that one to the sidelines to make sure they put it away for him. Well, you know, you got to fit in the family, right? If you're a Ralph brother, you got to score some touchdowns in the CFL.
That's a big trophy case back home.
Well, now Jimmy's got his place in it. This was a play that looked like it was going to make Corey Chamberlain regret the gamble to go on 3rd down. But Bethel Thompson moves around, keeps the play alive, extends it. And as he starts to get on the move, things break down in coverage, and Jimmy Ralph comes open in the end zone.
Tyler Crapigna, point after is good. What a 3rd down gamble in the red zone. They find the end zone. And the receiver from Raymond, Alberta, brother of Brock and Brett, has his first CFL touchdown in touchdown at...
Well, touchdown number 1 for Jimmy Ralph. Maybe not exactly as you draw it up. It's something of a broken play, but the end result, just perfect. He's holding on tight to that football.
How about that family? The brothers Ralph. There it is. Jimmy, who's been around here, has a Grey Cup ring, was with the Argos in 2017.
Grandma Giselle, that one's for you. Took too long to get that one, though.
Been around for a couple of years. His brothers Brock and Brett, Grey Cup champions as well. They know about the Battle of Alberta. Eskimos, Stampeder.
Great football family.
Fumble football by Shakir Ryan, picked up by the Alouettes.
Everybody in Raymond, Alberta.
Raymond, Alberta, home of the Ralph family.
Now you see here, Jimmy Ralph is the man lined up on the outside. And he's just going to run a little bit of an under and sit. Now as the play starts to break down, you're going to see 2 defenders, the corner and the linebacker, both start pursuing to the outside. They see the receiver on the sidelines. As they widen, that opens the window on the inside to Jimmy Ralph. Ends up being an easy shot from McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Alouettes shut out so far, past the midway point of the 2nd quarter. And Jeremiah Johnson stymied in the backfield once more. Almost a loss. May have picked up a little bit. Argo defense licking its lips today. Kevin Fogg once more penetrates that line. Johnson to the sideline. Stand back in the backfield. Throwing down though from Vernon Adams. Slinging it. Tight window. Nothing there. Justin Herdman-Reed. Again, alterations in that defense. Corey Chamberlain told us yesterday he's been giving everybody numbers because there's been so many injuries. Everybody's been playing out of position. Yeah. Everybody seems to be slotted now.
Yeah, trying to get things sorted out. Herdman-Reed seeing lots of action at middle linebacker here in his third CFL season.
Another 2 and out. Alouette offense just can't get unglued. Rainey. Shaking one outside. Good starting point for the Argos.
Bad Child, the sign-up EP out August 16th, featuring Breathing Fire. Listen now on Spotify.
Argo team breathing fire today defensively. Flag is against the Argos on the return. Rainey stays in though, using him a lot, employing him in the offense after kicks. Catching his breath back there. Bethel Thompson moves the pocket. And again against the grain. Always a tough throw, but McLeod Bethel Thompson, the majority of his completions have been when he's been moving to his left.
Yeah, doing a nice job of it, and certainly doing a nice job finding Rodney Smith, who's having a big day for the Toronto Argonauts. 7 catches already for him through the first 25 minutes of play. 77 yards for the big slot back.
10 straight completions, make it 11. Armani Edwards, another first down. Using everybody. Yesterday, McLeod came into the interview session with a hat that said, "Fear is something to kill." He said he's not a proponent of violence, but he said if you're going to kill anything, fear is the thing to kill.
Perhaps the CFL's most philosophical player.
Absolutely. Bethel Thompson going deep, no fear. Reed almost had the pick. Darrell Walker wants a call, not getting it.
When you see the tail end of this play, it looked like Greg Reed was going to be in trouble. Watch how Walker separates at the end and gets in behind him. But it was Reed who actually seemed to have a better read, no pun intended, on the flight of the football. Hanging short, almost coming up with the pick.
First time they really went vertical today. Another second down play. Rodney Smith's been the guy in this situation, and S.J. Green. Bethel Thompson stays at the line of scrimmage. And then he didn't do that.
Well, he went up.
He went up. And McLeod Bethel Thompson trying the high hurdle or something like that. This is the Fosbury flop.
Well, you know, I love this though from McLeod Bethel Thompson and the Toronto Argonauts offense. Has been
Toronto, number 66. That's a 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
His willingness is a guy whose reputation is as a pocket passer, not a guy who's seen as a scrambler, not a guy who's going to be labeled as the most athletic quarterback, but his willingness and understanding that he can keep plays alive, keep drives alive by using his legs. And this is something he's done more the last few weeks, and I think it's been a big part of his improved performance.
S.J. Green told us yesterday, though, he said, the thing I tell McLeod Bethel Thompson, buddy, you need to slide. Extend your career.
He's killing his fears.
Hasn't got a fear of flying, that's for sure. Bethel Thompson again from the pocket. Breaking free now is Brandon Burks. As he spikes the ball, looking for that first down marker. Great play, but about 4 yards shy. And once again, this will be Krapinja coming out in the field goal unit.
You see Brandon Burks release out the right side and then bring it across underneath. You don't see Enoch Mwamba miss a lot of tackles, but when Brandon Burks gets those legs moving, you better be squarely in front of him. He just ran out of the wrap of Mwamba.
Jimmy Ralph with the hold. Krapinja from the 46. It's against the breeze. Will it make it? Oh, he did it again! You can watch 1,000 CFL games and not see a guy hit an upright twice in a game and bounce it in for a field goal.
But it's the part where it goes in that is most amazing, but Tyler Krapinja,
bank shot.
You got to call the bank.
Bank is open in Moncton.
3 minutes to halftime, a touchdown Atlantic, and the Argos are looking good. Coming up, we'll talk about their defense, thoughts on McLeod, Bethel Thompson as well, and the latest 7-11 player rankings. Look at the top linebackers in the CFL so far this year. Let's go back to Moncton, to Rod and Dwayne.
All right, thank you, Rod, and the boys. Ram of the half coming up. Vernon Adams. Pocket closes. Now he throws deep downfield. Oh, Quan Bray made a great catch. Coming back to the ball. Vernon Adams extending that play with his feet.
Yeah, this is a nice adjustment as Adams gets on the move, but a nice adjustment to the football by Quan Bray as it's in flight. Pushes Kenna deep. Ball thrown behind him. Does a nice job coming back to snatch it.
First touch for William Stanback. His return to the lineup. Here's another look. Quan Bray, highlight reel stuff.
Picked up deep. Looks like it's going deep.
Well on his stomach.
2.5 to go before the half. Al's trying to get on the board. Down 16. Adams again. And he's got Javier Posey. What a catch! Touchdown! They're saying he's down at the 1. Javier Posey, the former Argo and Grey Cup MVP. Catch of the day.
You look at this receiving core, particularly in the absence of B.J. Cunningham. Posey heavily leaned upon to provide that veteran presence, be the big play guy. Steps up there to set up the Owls in close.
First and goal. Vernon Adams trying to squeeze in. They're saying no. How about Javier Posey? And new Papa this week. Posey against his old mates, the Argos, won a Grey Cup in 2017. Great touchdown catch and run in that game. Big play here. Now the Owls trying to punch it in. Adams has 7 rushing touchdowns this year. Make it 8. 8 rushing touchdowns for Vernon Adams Jr. 9 touchdowns on the season. Also caught one. And the Owls are on the board here in Moncton.
And it's set up with the big play to Javier Posey, coming off his biggest game of the season last week in Calgary.
Talk big plays, Dwayne. Alouettes 4th in the CFL. Remember, the last few years they've been not very good on big play department. Argos, though, are dead last, giving away big plays. Owls don't go for 2 very often, but they will here. Adams squeezed and down low. Again, looking for Posey. So no convert. And into it with Abdul Kana. And also with Kevin Fogg. Let's go to the sideline once more. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Well, Rod, you said it. That might not have been the best catch of DeVere Posey's week because he is a father for the second time, and he helped his lovely wife deliver their child, Niall Josiah, earlier this week. The story is they had come back from that incredible win in Calgary. He and his wife were walking down St. Catharines in downtown Montreal. Then they went to the hospital. The hospital actually said that Ms. Posey was not ready to deliver, so they went back home. And then as these things happen, nature takes its course and life just happens. And then DeVere Posey found himself on the phone with medical professionals in the greater Montreal area, and they coached him, and so did his wife, into bringing his newest baby into the world. And DeVere Posey, who also caught the longest touchdown play in Grey Cup history just a few years ago for the Toronto Argonauts, said unequivocally, "That was the best catch of my career. My hands will never catch anything sweeter." Guys?
No, and he follows it up with another sweet one today. That one, I'm sure, is for Niall Josiah, so congratulations to the Posey family. DeVere Posey, catching footballs, delivering babies.
Hey, just another week in the life of a CFL receiver.
What a thoughtful guy he is.
Well, unfortunately, very coachable.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this is jumping. Went outside. I didn't know if I was going to go inside out. Good shit, Vern. Good ball, bro.
There you see him trading notes, getting feedback from receivers coach Robert Gordon, former CFL star who joined his former teammate Kahari Jones on this coaching staff this season.
Yeah! Another catch for Rodney Smith, cut down by Patrick Levels on the far side. Smith is almost matched. His season total for catches came in with 13. Has 8 catches for 80 yards in the first half. Back on the tablet on the sideline. The Alouettes could get the ball back. They can stop the Argos here, they won't. S.J. Green, the former Alouette, won 2 Grey Cups in Montreal. What he does best, S.J. Green, 13 second down catches among the league leaders coming into this week. Another second down conversion, Mr. Second Down.
Yeah, and extending these drives, the Toronto Argonauts, in doing so, continue to dominate the time of possession in this football game.
Play action. And another first down. Once again, it's SJ.
The Argos are basically doubling up the Owls in terms of the TOP here in the first half. And we'll see what impact that has over the course of the game. You see offensive coordinator Jacques Chapdelaine on the left.
Bethel Thompson, and dangerous toss. That one floated on him. 59 to go, first half, and almost intercepted.
Oh, Bo Lacombo, we mentioned earlier, Taylor Lawfer got banged up in Calgary. Lacombo is a guy who's always been a linebacker throughout his college and professional career. But a tremendous athlete. Wanted to keep that as a Canadian spot. You want to get one of your best guys on the field. Lacombo answers the bell.
Bethel Thompson again moves the pocket, and another great catch. Jimmy Ralph having himself a day. Rolling over. And it looks like there was a
roughing the passer.
Flag down.
Montreal, number 21.
15
yards, automatic first down.
Costly penalty here, Chris Ackey.
And Patrick Levels recognized, as you see the shot just as the ball is thrown. Not sure if they're calling high contact there. I mean, the timing didn't seem to be late as the ball had barely been released.
Argos, chance to extend their lead. Haven't had many leads this season at the half. Chris Rainey, button heads. Bo Lacombo, the impact.
Yeah, nice cut back here from Rainey. Doesn't like what he sees on the front side. He's going to bend that back with good support, as you mentioned, with Lacumbo from that safety spot.
Second and manageable, 2nd and 4. Remember, the Argos went for it on 3rd down of the 6 earlier. Flipping it out again. Rodney Smith looking end zone. 9 catches. Almost 100 yards before halftime. Already a monster day for 81. Just me.
Well, nice play call here. You're going to see Smith is just going to bubble out, and as that pressure comes free, secondary blitz. Patrick Levels coming free off the edge, balls out quickly.
1st and goal. Clock to play with. Bethel Thompson, collision in the backfield. Rolling, and throws it, and it's almost picked by Deontay Evans. Cloud Bethel Thompson almost would have done better to throw that away or eat it. That could have been disastrous. Now 2nd and goal. Again, still time.
Your goal line, Chris.
To strike before halftime.
And you see, may have seen a little collision in the backfield there. Brandon Burks and Darrell Walker with signals crossed. But there's one that Deontay Evans will certainly wish he could have back. Looked like the combo diving knocked it free.
Chris Aki on a bad snap. And an Alouette bounce here in Moncton. The Argos threatening to score, come away empty.
Turnover narrowly averted on the previous play.
It was a good snap, and Bethel Thompson might have not been ready for it.
Yeah, it took a tough bounce as he went to recover it.
Yeah, it just came back quickly.
Yeah, and it's just right here as he goes to grab it. And he's on the move. Bounces it right to Chris Aki.
Alouettes hold their breath. They'll take the knee. They'll be happy with this. Could have been a much deeper deficit. Good break for Montreal. Turnover by the Argos. Final play. Entertaining first half of football. Cloud Bethel Thompson and the Argos leading 16-6. Big half for Rodney Smith. Big halftime for Roderick Smith and the boys in the studio from Touchdown Atlantic.
Thank you, Rodney Black. Still master the segue.
Welcome. The Argos leading the Alouettes 16-6. Those 6 points, a lot to do with that drive, and the catch by DeVere Posey, Papa Posey, with Matthew Shinetti.
DeVere, let's put the score aside for a second. What are you going to tell Niall Josiah about that catch that you made to end the first half?
His daddy got to score. Got to score. Got to get in the end zone. And but I'm excited. You know, he's healthy, baby, beautiful boy. Couldn't be more blessed.
In terms of this game and going into the second half, I imagine that the offense hasn't started the way you wanted to. So, what did you work on in the locker room?
We've been here. We've been here before. I told the boys, look in the mirror and don't forget who you are. Bring that energy and let's execute, man. Let's go execute.
Final one more for Niall. What are you going to tell him? What's the most important thing about using your hands in and around the end zone?
Just make sure you don't drop it. Amen.
Thanks for this.
No problem, Sinead.
DeVere will get ready to go to work here. This ball frisbees out of bounds. And one of the few blemishes for the Toronto Argos, who played a very clean first half for the most part.
Illegal kickoff. Toronto. Ball will be placed at the 45-yard line. First down.
Tyler Crapigna had the double doink in that first half.
You've given it a name now,
something like that. I mean, again, you don't see that. You might see one or two of those a season. You don't see 2 in one game off the upright and in. That time, that gives the Alouettes that miscue, missed kick gives the Alouettes a good starting point. Vernon Adams Jr. just 5 of 9, 113 after a 400-yard passing game last week. Way behind that pace. Pump and go, and wide open, and goodbye, Eugene Lewis. Touchdown,
think Vernon Adams Jr. was sitting in the locker room at halftime. He's listening to Davis Sanchez. Sanchez says Vernon Adams Jr. doesn't look comfortable. He hasn't been able to get the ball to Eugene Lewis. What does he do? Come right out.
Way to go,
Goes
Ches.
over the top. Ches got him going.
Ches gets him going, and this was home free for the former basketball star, son of a former NBAer, Gino Lewis. Touchdown.
I think he liked it.
65 yards. Morris beating the point after. And now that really stings for the Argos, not just giving that up, but their inability to punch it in late in the first half.
Yeah.
Going to the locker room with a little bit of a mean on.
Well, leaving the door open, knowing that the other team is going to have the ball to start the second half. And again, you put a collection of factors together. You see them using play action here to help the protection for a slow developing play where they're going to need a little more time. Big strike over the top, but you look at a series of events that open the door. Again, the miscue to end the first half, missed opportunity for the Toronto Argonauts. The kickoff that goes out of bounds that gives the Alouettes the short field and puts them literally a play away.
So suddenly this Sunday showdown is a whole lot closer.
Mr. Rick, you know what it is, baby. Keep jumping. They want to keep jumping shit.
Eugene Lewis.
Make a statement,
Oklahoma Sooner. Second touchdown as an Alouette. Also threw a touchdown pass this year to Vernon Adams. Kid from Philadelphia, Gino Lewis. Now McLeod Bethel Thompson. Back at it. This is what he did in the first half.
Yeah, and again, aside from missed opportunity to end the half, a lot of positives for McLeod Bethel Thompson. Using his legs a little bit, playing the game with a high level of confidence. Leaning heavily on Rodney Smith.
They had a lot of balance too. They used Brandon Burks and Chris Rainey in the backfield. Again, no James Wilder today. He's on the sideline. Really having to suck it up here, James Wilder, as Corey Chamberlain has to play ratio Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned that earlier, and the fact is it's very difficult to get three American running backs on the roster at the same time. You've got to have Chris Rainey on because he's your return guy and a guy who's can be a game changer in that role.
Bethel Thompson is wrapped up and ripped down. He's sacked. Antonio Simmons got to him first. The Owls put him away.
We mentioned Antonio Simmons as a guy they look to see develop and make a difference. They works the twist on that one to completely free himself of the tackle, Isaiah Cage.
Alouettes have not had a lot of sacks this season. They came in tied for last with the Argos, but had two today. Have a lot of pressure, though, on the quarterback. Pressure and the sack results in this punt by Ronnie Peffer. Shakir Ryan shooting the gap. Flag down. We'll catch up with that in a moment, but Eugene Lewis behind cover, breaks free, touchdown, and touchdown Atlantic is now a 3-point game. Back in Moncton, New Brunswick. Well, David Spade is back on TV, and he's bringing his comedian friends along for the ride. To dish the dirt on pop culture, watch Lights Out with David Spade Monday to Thursday at 11:35 Eastern on Comedy. Do you know what I haven't had? Lobster.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I haven't had it. Yeah, and you got here late last night. You haven't had any yet?
I'm not a seafood guy.
No, you're not.
I'm a seafood.
Had some chowder today. It was awesome. Gotta have some lobster, though. Adams gets pummeled, and the catch is made. And who else but the basketball baller, Eugene Lewis, going high after Vernon Adams was popped.
Yeah. Adams hit as he throws this football, and the result is that the ball goes up in the air, and you got a jump ball. You look to the former basketballer, Eugene Lewis. Here you'll see it. Adams can't follow through on the throw as he's hit by Justin Thomas.
Two catches, 83 yards for Eugene Lewis Jr. His dad, Junie, former draft pick in the NBA, Utah Jazz back in 1999. I used to watch Junie as college player in South Alabama. Jeff Hodge was there. They used to call them peanut butter and jelly. Great basketballer. And Eugene, followed his dad to the hardwood as well, and now CFLer doing great things. Brought the Owls back in this game. Adams once more goes the other way, and it's William Stanback. And a shoestring tackle. Micah Awe on Stanback's second touch. Stops the Owls in their tracks, forces a third down, and brings out the kick team.
That's a big play by Micah Awe to recognize what the Alouettes were trying to set up and to get Stanback wrapped up and hold on while the rest of the cavalry arrived in support.
Beatty. Oh, what a nice spiraling kick. Down near the 12. Look out here. Breaking outside. Chris Rainey, but this is coming back. At the edge and accelerated. This one's coming back. A penalty on the return. Argos with a 3-point lead at touchdown Atlantic in the Maritimes. Argo fans making the trek to the Maritimes, enjoying some holiday, enjoying the sights and sounds. Great place here, beautiful part of Canada, Atlantic Canada. The Argos long field after the penalty on the return. Rodney Smith with another catch, a monster day, 10 now. Again, he had 13 catches into the season. Maybe he was launched this week from last week. And this Sports Center feature, what a catch.
Well, you heard McLeod Bethel Thompson talk about the big frame of Rodney Smith, and there you see it in full extension.
10 catches, 93. Good protection out of the backfield. Brandon Burks close to the first down marker on second down. It's going to be third down, yard and a half. Might be too much of a gamble here in the field position.
Kick.
Looks like they're going to kick here.
Yeah, that's it's a good 2 yards from deep in your own end in a tight football game. This is, I don't think there's much to think about here.
Talked about, some of the fans making this a holiday out here. This is no holiday, as the Argos told us yesterday. This, along with the Montreal Alouettes in a neutral site, is a business trip. All business today. We might have a bit of a thriller into the fourth quarter. Heifer. Again, good boot. Wind doesn't affect this. Shakir Ryan near the Argo bench. Alouettes will start on Toronto's side of the field when we come back to Moncton in the 2019 Touchdown Atlantic. There's the game changer, number 87, Eugene Lewis. What a backstory. With more, here's Matthew Shinetti.
Just a little while ago, Rod, Kahari Jones had an exercise for his team. He's had it since he's become a coach. It's called 45 seconds. The player stands up and expresses a little something personal about themselves the teammates did not know. You touched upon a little bit with Eugene Lewis and his relationship with his father, the former NBA draft pick who suffered from substance abuse, then became a preacher and reestablished his relationship with his son. The whole point of this 45-second exercise is for the players to understand you're not just playing for the man in the mirror, you're playing for the names in the back of the jersey. It's also come about that Eugene Lewis's nickname, 58 points, no threes, came out of that, and that was because he scored 58 points in his last AAU game in the Philadelphia area. Although when you talk to some of his other teammates, yes, like Devere Posey, he says, I've heard that quite a bit. Rod?
58 and no threes. I think it was also triple overtime. But yeah, what a story. And what a breakout year for Eugene Lewis and the Alouettes. And you think about the receiving core, you think about this staff here, you think about the adversity
Offside.
the Alouettes have
Toronto,
faced.
number 39. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
But you also think about this guy, and what he has established in Montreal.
Well, it's the sense of calm, the sense of consistency and credibility that he has instilled.
Look at Vernon Adams, and he throws it almost a catch by Jeremiah Johnson. Did you see the breakdancing that Vernon Adams was doing in the backfield?
Staying alive. Going to see Jeremiah Johnson's going to get out and head up the sideline.
Watch this.
Looks like bubble. Adams gets in trouble, so Johnson turns it vertical. Great effort to get hands on, but it's just off the fingertips.
Almost out of Greg Ellingson. Key second down and 5. Alouettes trying to get their first lead. Going deep once more into triple coverage for Weineke. That's the best the Owls will do on this drive. Third down, bring out the kick team. And this will be a long field goal if they go for it. Looks like they're going to punt. Boris Beatty's going to try to angle one. Beatty has had 5 kicks inside the 10-yard line this season. Chris Rainey's back, though. Would have been a 56-yard field goal.
Yeah, that would have been Beatty's longest of the year with some big bodies trying to cover.
The wind swirling, Rainey.
Let it go.
Should have let it go. And a long, long field now for the Argos.
This is Our Game Now, starting September 1st. $1 million touchdown to win.
One of the combined yardage leaders in the CFL. He's had a couple of those this season.
Yeah, tough situation there, and I know it's a 3-point game, but you look at the situation for the same reason.
Boy, this is an interesting challenge.
Well, yeah, they may be looking for a no yards call on the play.
And must have some really good intel, because then they wouldn't waste a challenge.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would be a complete waste of a challenge on a no yards call. It is 15 yards, though. Would put the ball at the 20.
The previous play that there was no yards on the play. We'll review the play.
So maybe not that bad of a call again if you win this. Yeah. The ball's at the 20-yard line.
You know, just to go back to the original thought as we take a look at this.
No, I think you have to have 5 yards.
It's the exact moment. You've got Rainey catching the ball. I mean, it's got to be conclusive. From that angle, looks like he could be just inside 5, but, you know, it's got to be conclusive, right? So Rainey's catching that ball at about the 2. You're saying maybe that front foot that hasn't touched down yet is probably inside 5, but I don't know if you're going to get this one overturned or considered conclusive.
You rarely see a challenge of this type. No yards call. Montreal's just 1 of 4 on challenges this season. Here is Kim Murphy, and he has a verdict.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. There was not no yards. Toronto is charged their first challenge and one timeout remaining.
That could be costly.
Yeah, and again, to go back to the original
should just let it
thinking
go
on the play, you know, I mean, in terms of the ruling, much as it was to us, not clear and obvious to overturn the ruling, but the reason Montreal's not attempting a field goal in a 3-point game is because it's early enough that you're still going to play for field position. Toronto should have been thinking the same thing on the return. You may not want to let them within a field goal in a 3-point game, but there's still enough time left that the field position is actually more important than the score.
And I think also you're thinking wind swirling, maybe outside Beatty's range, and Rainey in the end zone.
2 on the stripe.
But Chris Rainey, no challenge. Overturn there. Second and 5. Bethel Thompson from that pocket and connects. Armani Edwards, clutch grab up near the 30-yard line as that pocket was squeezed seriously on McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yeah, well, this is another one of those sort of confidence plays. Bethel Thompson stands in there. And on the other end, you've got Armani Edwards, former college quarterback, and another one of those guys who sees the game a little bit through the eyes of his pivot, recognizing what the quarterback needs in a given situation.
Trying to slash left side, Brandon Burks. Patrick Levels, among the tackle leaders in the Canadian Football League. Has he ever developed into a fierce defender?
Well, to me, it's about opportunity. In Calgary, Patrick Levels was a guy who played well, but he was a guy who had to move around multiple positions. You know, they had some experienced guys, so he was frequently filling in for injuries, whether it was at half, whether at corner, whether at nickel linebacker. Here in Montreal, he gets to play the same position week after week, and he's excelled at it.
They're calling that incomplete. It's a rarity for S.J. Green. So 6 minutes to go here in the third in New Brunswick.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
And they got that right. S.J. Green coming closer to Jock Climbey, number 9, trying to climb up all-time reception yardage list. 3 yards behind. Next catch surpassed Jock.
Whatever happened to Jock Climbey?
You mean he doesn't still work with us? Ronnie Pepper. Great Jock Climbey. Making millions of dollars as a lawyer, I'm sure.
Yes.
We couldn't afford him anymore. Eugene Lewis. Vernon Adams and the Alouettes on the field, down 3. Sunsplash day, late August, in the hub of the Maritimes. Moncton, 4th ever touchdown Atlantic. 2 teams that have been to these games before, but never against each other. And their first meeting of the season. And even though the Argos come in with kind of a fragile psyche, just 1-7, a win today. And knowing how their schedule plays out, the next time these 2 teams meet, the last time they meet in the regular season in October, could hold some serious significance. Al's a confident bunch, though. Won 4 of their last 6. Adams, 2nd and 11. Rips it in. And there is DeVere Posey with another catch.
Another catch, another first down for the Montreal Alouettes, as they look to even the score and take the lead on this possession. Vernon Adams seems to be settling in here after the break. Posey, former Toronto Argonaut, BC Lion.
Adams out of the backfield for Quan Bray. Bray just another part of this receiving core, including DeVere Posey, who says that he loves what he sees in Vernon Adams.
My number one thing is if I'm judging a quarterback, I don't care how tall you are, I don't care how far you can throw the ball. I'm looking at one category, and that's wins and losses. And if you look at his stats from the time he took the helm at Eastern Washington, his wins and losses are up there with some of the best of the quarterbacks, that came out those years.
Well, he's 7-3 as a CFL starter. Of course, started at Eastern Washington, went to Oregon. Was with Bo Baldwin in Eastern Washington. He was the guy behind Bo Levi Mitchell, remember? And then went to Oregon in his senior year, then to Montreal. Look at, and DeVere Posey is absolutely right. 42-12.
Yeah, you gotta love to have a winner as the guy who's touching the ball on every play.
And it's kind of taken him a little bit here, 40, to develop some confidence and some rhythm.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is a guy who arrived in the Canadian Football League amidst much hype and grand expectations. And I think in a lot of ways that almost worked against him, because the fact is, I mean, his path to becoming an effective starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League has actually been pretty traditional. Aside from, in terms of the timeline, it's been pretty traditional. In terms of how much he's bounced around, I honestly think that's been a factor of unfair expectations.
Oh, look at this. Vernon Adams throwing deep for Bray. He's got a touchdown. Oh, what a play. The old triple reverse, razzle-dazzle, bag of tricks from the Alouettes, touches down in the Atlantic.
The most remarkable thing about this play to me is actually how well the Argonauts actually stayed disciplined. They seemed like they were prepared for it. We've seen receivers throwing balls. We've seen some razzle-dazzle from the Owls. So the Argos weren't caught out of position per se. As Quan Bray, just as the play went on, it's a long play, long play, long play. It's a long time to ask guys to cover, and eventually he comes open in the end zone, and Adams throws an absolute strike. I don't think they fooled him. I think they just beat him.
Boris Beatty. Alouettes first lead of the ball game. And they use some dazzle. Triple reverse. That could be one of the plays of the year right there. And Quan Bray focused in the end zone. How about the pass, the touch from Vernon Adams? This is why DeVere Posey loves this guy. He's a winner.
Johnson to Posey, back to Adams. As you see, the defender, Tremaine Washington, he's watching Quan Bray the whole time. It's not like he slept on him, like he was looking to play the reverse. He kind of saw it coming, but he's playing with outside leverage, and Bray took the middle of the field. And between Kenna and Washington, they were both a step late getting there as he was in behind them. Adams put it in a perfect spot.
What a special treat for the fans here in New Brunswick. What a play. Quan Bray. Catch. Vernon Adams, the toss. And suddenly, a sullen Argos bench as they try to bounce back now. Still 2:25 in another quarter. Chris Rainey follows some blocks. Nice return up near the 35-yard line, and now McLeod Bethel-Thompson, as the Argos have had to do so often this season, playing in a deficit.
Looking for the comeback here. Again, no time to curse the missed opportunities earlier in the football game. The Argos just have to stick with a game plan that's been pretty effective for them offensively so far. Brandon Burke's a big part of that. Rodney Smith a big part of that.
Bethel-Thompson standing in once more.
And Armani Edwards becoming a big part of that here in the second half.
These are the kind of plays, though, that led the Argos to that early lead.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one big play. They've eaten up some time on the clock, driving the ball down the field in the first half of this football game. That mindset works just fine. It's just as McLeod Bethel-Thompson told Matthew Shinetti at halftime, you got to finish. It kind of means nothing to have the ball for all that time if you can't finish.
Bethel-Thompson, again, another mid-ranger. Darrell Walker has been silent for most of this game. That's a big, big gain by Walker on the pass from McLeod Bethel-Thompson.
Here you see pretty good protection versus a four-man rush. Bethel-Thompson with time to go to work. Puts it on the money to his big play man, Darrell Walker.
20-yarder for Walker. Good drive engineered here by the Argos. Bethel-Thompson in the face of an Alouette. Down the rail. Oh, cut! And Darrell Walker scores. Touchdown! Argos. Tap, tap, tap to the end zone. Darrell Walker. Did he stay in bounds? Whether he did or not, this was fantastic stuff again.
Great response, great play call. Nice execution all the way around. It looked to me like he stayed in. But the Argos load up the left side of the formation. Darrell Walker's the only guy they leave backside.
That right foot may be there. They're looking at that, but I think that's a touchdown for Darrell Walker. If it is, it's his third of the season. But what a response by the Toronto Argonauts. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, 14th touchdown pass of the season.
Blitz pick up by the fullback, Declan Cross. Bethel-Thompson puts it there. Walker makes a play.
Krapinian not getting the bounce off the upright. No single point, but the Argos regain the lead. 22-20. 40 seconds to go.
Double blue right there. Shout out to everybody back at the crib. I love y'all. This rotation forever.
It is touchdown Atlantic. Let's rename it the Maritime Air Show.
Here we'll have a look. Both teams going to work. Alouettes, everybody gets a touch. Bray gets the touchdown. Alouettes, 5 plays, 67 yards in 2 minutes, 57 seconds. Argos waste no time in responding. 3 plays, 73 yards in just 1 minute 20. Things are heating up here on the East Coast.
You know, every day, this part of the country, they have a catch of the day. You know, at every restaurant, they have a catch of the day. I'm not sure we got a lot of catches of the day here today. Man.
Never a shortage in Atlantic Canada.
No, we got a lot of catches. And we're not talking fish.
I don't know. We still got a lot of game left. I'm telling you. Hey, I don't know.
What a game this has become.
Over here. Certified. Hey. Certified. We all certified, so what's up for me? I don't know.
So now the Alouettes look to answer.
Go.
Time ticking down in the third. This has been fun stuff today, partner. In a neutral site, you know what I like is that when each team scores, you hear a lot of fans. There are no silencers here.
I think we've seen all 9 logos in this stadium.
Yes, all 10.
Today. Well, yeah.
10. A lot of schooners. But we've seen every team imaginable. And hey,
some of the ugliest cheerleaders I've ever seen.
We've seen it all morning on the streets here. You know, this is the 4th time they played this game here, but they had 2 exhibition games in St. John, New Brunswick. Also, prior to that, the more you're out here, the more we're watching this game today, you cannot wait for that 10th team to finally arrive.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Sooner than later for the Schooners, we hope. Final play, third quarter, barring penalty. What a third quarter that was. Stand back. Cut back. No. First down, there's a flag. We may have one more.
Hey, see him go back. Sam goes back. There's nobody in there.
Holding Montreal, number 54. The 4 yards were gained. The 10-yard penalty remains second down, and one more play in this quarter.
One more play, again, barring penalty.
Ranger. Hey, pass first.
Ari Jones, first-year head coach, longtime assistant, former star quarterback. You know, his path very similar to Vernon Adams.
I was going to say, a guy who had to bide his time, and not necessarily with the many travels, different jerseys for Adams Jr.
Sling it. Why not end that quarter that way with another completed pass? These guys are lighting it up. Fireworks in the sunlight, Moncton. 2-point ball game heading to the fourth, a touchdown Atlantic. Well, numbers, and the offense kicking into gear in the third quarter. The Alouettes with a triple reverse touchdown pass. The Argos, Darrell Walker coming back, tap dances to the end zone. What do we have in store, partner, for the fourth quarter here at this fourth edition of Touchdown Atlantic?
Yeah, well, you don't think typically in a close football game about the teams opening things up, but you got a bit of a feeling that they're going to open things up a little bit here in the fourth quarter and could have both teams trying to blow the lid off coverage offensively.
What a great atmosphere it's been here today. And I know maybe a month and a half ago there were some concerns perhaps about this game. It originally was slated for night. They moved it to the daytime. Tell you what, people in this region have come out, shown great support, great football fans out here. Adams down two, Jeremiah Johnson. Straight arm outside, knocked out in front of his bench. Jeremiah Johnson kind of handing off with stand back play to play here.
Yeah, I mean, Johnson has had the bulk of the touches as stand back works his way back and continues to be effective. He's coming off a 107-yard rushing game in the win over Calgary last week. Picked up a nice block from Jake Winicky on that bubble screen.
Stand back. Pounds it into that scrum, first down. Again, Stanback has missed a couple of weeks. Rush yards per game, still number one, almost 100 yards each game. Also had a 203-yard game against Hamilton this season.
Yeah, that'll help the average.
Stand back in with Johnson. Thunder and lightning in the backfield. Adams to stand back. So using both of them in the backfield that time, that could be lethal.
Yeah, and this is the look that becomes so hard to defend for opposing coordinators. Got to deal with these two guys, each of whom has gone over the century mark this season.
Another second, mid-range, 2nd and 5. Stand back behind Adams. Playing action, and Vernon Adams is sacked. And the newcomer, Kenan Gilchrist, Appalachian State, has his first CFL sack at the perfect time for the Argos.
Go, Chris. Popped up inside, quick swim move over top.
Almost blocked. Beatty is dusted, and it looks like Montreal's going to get the benefit here.
It will be a first.
Of a roughing the kicker call here.
Yeah, he didn't have a chance to land here before he got taken down.
Beatty's slow to get up and will limp to the sideline. This should give Montreal the ball. It was third and about 14.
Come on, big smart.
They were going for the block. Then rolled into Beatty. Robert Woodson, former Calgary Dino, tried to get out of the way.
Do this.
Yeah, sliding into the kicker. The Alouettes get a reprieve here.
Set the sticks, first down.
This drive will continue with the Alouettes into Toronto territory.
Beatty looks like he's okay. It will be first down, Montreal after all of that. Adams dusts himself off after that sack, back on the field quickly. Stanback right behind him. We'll give it to Stanback. Ian Wild, the tackle. So it'll be a throwing down here for Vernon Adams. You know, Dwayne, think back to last year. Late July, Montreal, Vernon Adams wasn't booed, but the fans in Montreal chanting for Johnny Manziel.
Who? The name is vaguely familiar.
How things have changed for the Alouettes.
And it's ironic. You had the Hamilton Tiger Cats went with Manziel as their backup over Adams coming out of camp. The Alouettes played Manziel ahead of Adams.
Adams to Posey. I mean, that had to be hard on Vernon Adams.
Well, for, you know, you saw the winning record, and you think, like, for a guy who through his high school career, through his college career at two different programs, the success that has always followed him, to think of the level of adversity that he had to overcome. Not only to fight through adversity, but to fight through adversity when it's unfamiliar to you.
When you have no control. He's over 300 yards today. And you know, everyone in Canada was so intoxicated with the Johnny Manziel story when he came in, the brand of Manziel.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel couldn't play up here. Couldn't play.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Manziel showed flashes, right?
He needed his time, as Vernon Adams has had his time.
Yeah.
Not that Johnny Manziel could not play up here, but at the time, he couldn't.
Yep.
Kevin Fogg is down. We'll step aside and come back. 2-point game at Touchdown Atlantic in Moncton, New Brunswick. MLS on TSN continues Wednesday. Whitecaps FC, Impact go head-to-head, all-Canadian matchup. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on TSN. Back in Moncton. Robert Woodson comes in. Kevin Fogg injured on that last play. Alouettes driving, trying to recapture the lead. What has been a seesaw second half. Now Jeremiah Johnson with some room. Johnson looking for the end zone. There's his first as an Alouette. And there's the dance. Jeremiah Johnson's been waiting all season to dance, and he dances to the end zone. Alouettes back in front.
Well, one thing that comes to mind as you watch this play, we've talked about the dynamic duo of these two running backs. Stanback, who has the big block on the backside on that play, off the fake, and Johnson, who gets the football, is as they're splitting duties, splitting carries and touches. We get into the fourth quarter of this football game, and obviously the fact that the Alouettes have not necessarily run a ton of plays in this game is a factor. But you saw the burst from Jeremiah Johnson that reminds you, not only do you have these two guys, but you're keeping both of them kind of fresh. That the Alouettes have an opportunity to pound the ball a little bit with these two guys down the stretch.
Opportunity for two. Oh!
Hang time.
Alley-oop. Eugene Lewis. All he had to do was dunk that. The former basketball star does it again after the dancer prances into the end zone. The Alouettes move back on top near the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, Vernon Adams with the handoff to Jeremiah Johnson. Stand back goes backside as they get the look with those two backs in. And here, yet another jump ball. Eugene Lewis, he just seemed to hang up there as that ball was in the air. And here's a souvenir for a young fan.
Yeah, that kid will never forget that.
Alouettes fan for life right there.
Eugene Lewis fan for sure. Hope he had his PBR set. Chris Rainey, still loads of time left. Now a 6-point lead for the Alouettes. Jeremiah Johnson. That great run.
Yeah, we out here, bro. Do you know
how that dance thing started? He and his wife Chanel were in a dance contest in the Dominican
On the
Republic.
return, illegal block. Toronto, number 99. 10-yard penalty, first down.
True story. They're in a dance contest.
Isaac Jordy, good daddy loves you.
And they won it. And that was the dance, kind of a salsa thing. So he started doing that, and it's kind of a tribute to his wife as well. Little salsa. Jeremiah Johnson's been waiting all year for that. Bethel Thompson shakes one, and John Bowman drags him down. Not a sack. This Bowman with 128 career sacks. Talked to JB yesterday. Said, is this really it? And he looked at me dead straight and said, this is it. He's had more retirements than Sugar Ray Leonard. But he says this is it. He says that. He says every day he feels 37 except game day. Knocked down. Ciante Evans.
It's windy. Hey, it's windy up.
37 years young, John Bowman, still doing it. Climbing that ladder.
That is a pretty impressive list. I can tell you, having played during a time where fullbacks had to frequently block defensive ends, that is a list that causes me to lose a lot of sleep.
Who gave you the least amount of sleep on that list?
Well, they probably all had their moments.
I'm sure you were in their nightmares too, my friend. Oh, this is a bad kick, but it bounces well for Ronnie Peffer. Shakir Ryan spinning and swallowed at the 33. JB, fine wine, getting older in his last season in the Canadian Football League, and he says he wants to go out on top.
I'm Jake Thomas, defensive lineman, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Fredericton, New Brunswick. You're watching Touchdown Atlantic on CFL on TSN.
Good job, Jake. Atlantic Schooner Nation. From the ownership group earlier in the ball game. Hoping maybe for a 2021 if things can get in place. Jake, one of the great players from this region. How about this flashback? Dwayne Ford in the Atlantic Bowl and the MVP. Look at those shoulders, and he's not wearing shoulder pads.
I was something.
You were awesome. Look at you. You are.
I think
you left a lot of Huskies in your dust here, man.
I had more carries that day, I think, than I had in my 12-year CFL career.
You were my favorite ball player growing up. And Greg Ford, who did it here and at Western and in the CFL. Grey Cup champion. I guess it might bring back a few memories coming out to Atlantic, Canada.
You know, ironically, we won that Atlantic Bowl, but we came back and played St. Mary's, led by legendary Hall of Fame quarterback, Canadian Football Hall of Fame quarterback Chris Flynn. We had beaten them in '89 in that game. We came back and played them again the next year. We actually lost on a last-second play. Anthony Williams, I think, caught the touchdown pass for St. Mary's. You know, so my last memory, my last university game was actually played at Husky Stadium in Halifax.
Stand back, pounds his way. Man, I sometimes forget until I see that YouTube stuff. What a load you were. Beast mode Ford.
I had my moments. Wow. I had my moments. Well, there's plenty of great players still coming out of this area. We did the CanadaFootballChat.com prospect game earlier this year. We had Oliver Longpre from Tantramar High School in New Brunswick. Receiver and running back, quarterback Samuel Tremblay from École Sainte-Anne.
Second down and 6. 6-point Alouette lead. Another pump there. Vernon Adams is going down. He looked like he lost the football too. Do the Argos have it? No, Adams has it, but another sack for this front four of the Argos. 4 sacks today. They came in with 9 all season.
Well, the swarm just arrives, converges on Vernon Adams. Here he's got nowhere to run. Disciplined rush lanes keep him contained. And big one on second down as they not only forced a punt, but also gained some valuable yards in field position by pushing the Alouettes back.
Robbie Smith, Laurier Golden Hawks, second sack, forces the Owls to kick. 5.5 to go. Game that's gone back and forth since the beginning of the third quarter. Beatty just gets that away. Here's a game changer. Might he? No, not this time. Well, such a special homecoming for this guy, Enoch Mwamba from Mississauga. But a guy who played his university football in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. He was an X-Man, one of the X-Men, St. Francis Xavier, a President's Trophy winner.
Yes, sir, playing for longtime coach there, Gary Waterman. Still in charge of the X-Men. Went from being the President's Trophy winner to being the #1 overall pick in the 2011 CFL draft.
Enoch in on that play. Guy who wore his X ring this week for good reason.
I'll take 6.
You see, first of all, how broad of a reach, you know, this ring and the school and the family of, you know, of X really has. I've been some places in the U.S. and, you know, people have recognized it. And so, like I said, you feel it, you feel the reach and you feel the love as well. And you get asked what year and everything like that. So it's amazing. You start a conversation from there. But coming back here definitely feels like home, and which was the biggest reason why I chose to come to St. FX.
Enoch loves the people here, loves the region. Didn't love that play. Chris Rainey, Keese, first down, second down run. Time ticks away here. Al's trying to get to 5-4. Argos trying to pick up their second win of the season. And laying it in for S.J. Green. The midfield stripe and S.J. Green just past Jocko. The all-time yardage list.
Well, what a tremendous career S.J. Green has had. To think, you know, first couple years of his time as a Montreal Alouette, this was a guy who basically couldn't get on the field because of the depth that they had in the organization. Jamel Richardson and Ben Cahoon in the slots.
Fabian Foot ties up McLeod Bethel Thompson. Well, S.J. Green was here before in this game, touchdown Atlantic, as a member of the Alouettes for so many years. He's now number 23 all time.
Yeah, you see him at 23, Robert Gordon. Now the Alouettes receivers coach, a couple spots behind him at 25. Shout out to number 1 on the list, G. Roy Simon, who was honored last night in BC.
Bethel Thompson, pocket closing, throws it over the middle, and it's picked off. Ryan Carter has it. There's a flag down. Might be a hit on McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Holding.
No, it's a hold.
Toronto, number 66. That penalty is declined. Resulted of play, change of possession.
So it
First
is
down,
an
Montreal.
interception. McLeod Bethel Thompson picked off by Ryan Carter. The worst possible time for the Argos as they're driving. Down to 6 now. 3-minute warning. Bethel Thompson also hit, but no challenges left. So here is that last play, the pickoff, the turnover. Ryan Carter. Watch though as McLeod Bethel Thompson is hit by Chad Jeter.
Takes a shot. Some head contact there. Whether that is the primary point of contact, I think, is debatable.
Sorry, thanks. Now, Command is also looking at the eye in the sky. Keep in mind, it is under review. And here is the call from the eye in the sky and CFL Command.
On the previous play, after automatic review, we have roughing the passer. Montreal, number 91. Holding. Toronto, number 66. We'll go back to the original line of scrimmage, up 5 yards, automatic first down, Toronto.
Well, they waited a while and they looked at that, and I know you kind of rolled your eyes a little bit at that play.
Yeah, it's, again, by the letter of the law, it's the call. So it's the right call by the officials. So it's not an issue with the officiating. For me, it's a bit of an issue with the rule and interpretation of the rule, where sometimes, man, you just got to let them play football.
We've seen much worse.
Yeah, there is no part of targeting on that play when you watch that hit. And I think on some level, you know, we always try to rule intent out of the way calls are made, because it's said that you can't judge intent. I'd rather see us try to judge intent, honestly.
And Jeter could not stop. So now the Argos get a reprieve. Did not have to use a challenge. Didn't have a challenge left. Chris Rainey gets the rock. Rainey scurries for about 4 or 5 yards. Really a squirm there. So now Jimmy Ralph comes back into the ball game. Another critical second down. 2.5 to go. 28-22. Argos trying to play comeback now.
There you see Alouettes first-year defensive coordinator Bob Slowick, one of the unsung heroes of this team's turnaround, quite frankly.
3-man rush, another first down. And again, Mr. First Half possession guy, Rodney Smith, will go to the sideline. They bring in some more personnel here. Brandon Burke's coming back in. Argos might put this back on the ground. 2:25 to go. Alouettes came back to beat the Stamps last week. Argos might pull the trick on them. Bethel Thompson. S.J. Green bashes down near the 25. Another first down. Guy who played here in the last touchdown Atlantic in 2013 with the Owls when they lost to the Cats.
SJ gets a couple clear out routes around him, one pushing coverage deep, another holding coverage out towards the sideline.
Bethel Thompson, here comes the rush, and he's getting sandwiched and brought down, ripped down. Big sack from Ryan Brown. A huge loss here for the Argos. Field goals aren't getting it done. They have to score here.
And Brown will get credit for this one. Quick swim, he's into the backfield. Greg Reed contains it on the halfback blitz from the other side.
2nd and 16, critical here. 3-man rush. Bethel Thompson over the top. Gets to the original line of scrimmage. It's going to be 3rd down. Minute 47.
You consider the Argos, a little bit of their mentality in this game has seemed to be
to be gamblers.
Yeah, when we get close, we're going.
Yeah.
Don't want to count on getting another opportunity as much as you might look at a minute 45 and go, we got a chance to get the ball back and go for 2 field goals. It's been a bit of a theme the last few weeks in the CFL. 2 field goals versus 1 touchdown.
Timeout, Montreal.
Well, the mentality too might be if you don't make it here, there still is a chance to get the ball back. You're going to have to get the ball back anyways for a field goal.
Yeah, but again, this has become the ongoing debate is if you kick a field goal here, all you need is a field goal. And
but you got to get the ball back.
It's been a little bit of a theme. We've seen this in multiple games over the last couple of weeks. It worked out for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. You think back a couple of weeks to their win against the BC Lions. Didn't work out for the Ottawa Red Blacks last week.
So a timeout here with a minute 40 to go. Ball game for the moment on the line. Owls make a stop.
And it's maybe not going by the book, but this is my preferred call in the situation is not to rely on trying to get the ball back with a minute 40 to go.
Bethel Thompson's in trouble. Up high. Juggled catch. No. Incomplete for S.J. Green. That still would not have given them the first down as there was huge pressure. So a minute 34 to go, and the Argos still have a chance if they can stop the Alouettes and get the ball back. One more first down, and you could pretty much put this in the books.
Monty Edwards almost with the circus catch there.
Hey, come on, where my DBs at? Where my DBs at?
But the Alouettes have got to do something here to control their own destiny in this football game.
They'll be conservative. Give it to the freight train. Stand back. So, second down. Only ate up a couple of seconds.
Timeout, Toronto.
Toronto will use this. We'd like to thank the great people in the Maritimes and pay tribute the only way we can with Matthew Shinetti shoes. Look at that. He's the king of the painted shoes and the theme shoes, and a local artist came up with a maritime flavor. No, he's not wearing 4 shoes today. That's inside outside. So Matty, nice tribute. You're looking fine today. Great job down there. Great job from the wonderful people here in Moncton, New Brunswick, and through the Maritimes, coming out to watch what has turned into an exciting ball game. That's from all of us come from a ways. Big down here. Pounding. Won't get the first down. Not enough. And only ate up about 3 seconds. So now the Argos will get the ball back. Chris Rainey will be back. There still is a chance. Boris Beatty. Now, had you kicked the field goal?
Yes. Hindsight being 2020, yes. But yeah, and I think again, as a coach, you're in a situation where you kind of go with your gut and the feel of the game. Honestly, I know people will talk about the book and playing the odds and so on, but as a coach, you got to go on how you feel to make a decision by also factoring in the flow of the game and how you feel things may play out.
By the way, nobody really wrote that book.
Yeah, there's no book.
This is a great kick by Beatty. Rainey. That looked like no yards. It's a 15-yard penalty. And we're under a minute left. The Toronto Argonauts have to travel the field here. And Ken Macbeth write another
On
chapter.
the return, illegal block. Toronto, number 80, a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So it's not a no yards, longer field now. So you've got to go the distance, and you've got to score. Then you've got to convert to win.
Well, when you look at the history,
he's done it before.
Bethel Thompson, yeah, he's got some dramatic comebacks on his resume.
Bethel Thompson out of the backfield. Now Burks trying to get out of bounds probably, and he does. There's a face mask there. No flag. And again, wouldn't Corey Chamberlain love to have a challenge flag if that is a face mask? Not so. Again, three-man rush, prevent defense. Again, little screen here. Burks getting out of bounds once more. 37, and the Argos with another first down. Well, they've marched about 30 yards here.
Yeah, pretty efficient in terms of their use of the clock so far to at least put themselves in position to take a shot at the end zone.
They've got 64 yards to go. Bethel Thompson stepping out. He's over the line of scrimmage. Trying to hurt him again. And worst part of that is at 8 up time. 28 seconds for the Argos. Trying to pull out a rabbit here.
Let's go, Rap!
56 yards away from a touchdown. Bethel Thompson swinging it out. Rainey can't grab it. Clock ticked down. Might be 17 or so actually on that clock now.
Costly when you take over 10 seconds off the clock and come up with nothing in terms of gaining ground.
And they needed that to secure a first down. So back to 17. Crowd on its feet. Bethel Thompson gets the first down. Clutch for Edwards. So setting up what looks like it's going to have to be a Hail Mary or something deep here. Stretch it out vertically with 12 to go. Looks like they're going to move the clock to 13. 13 seconds. Gotta go over the middle, they do. Down to 8 for Rodney Smith. They may run out of time. You got to take your shot right now. There's a flag down. This could be a critical flag. Could mean a much shorter throw or longer throw. Might be against.
Too many men. Montreal. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
Too many men.
And the yardage helps. It's been tough to get a read on the wind during this series as the flag on those Alouette goalposts have changed directions a couple times during this possession. But knowing you're going to have to throw for the end zone, the closer you are, the better, obviously.
Here it is, ball game. Argos for the win. Bethel Thompson down near the goal line.
Stadium clock shows 0.3
seconds left. Rodney Smith makes a catch. Spectacular grab. We've got 0.3 seconds to go. Just like last week. And now another chance to get the win in Moncton. Bethel Thompson knocked down. No flags. Game over. What a cliffhanger down to the very last second. Argos have to head home. Now 1-8. The Alouettes 5-4. in the end zone in touchdown Atlantic. Boy, they could have used a timeout right there had they had one left. Unable to squeeze it. Here it is again.
Yeah, it was kind of on the shoulder of Armani Edwards. Greg Reed was able to get there and do enough to prevent him from pulling it in tight to his body.
Who has had so many great catches. And the boat is sunk again. This time in the Maritimes as the Alouettes celebrate once more. What a thriller this one was, though. Second half.
Well, the fans here in Atlantic Canada certainly got their money's worth.
Until the next time, which might be a 10th team in the Canadian Football League in a couple of years. We certainly hope down in Halifax. But here it is, our CFL on TSN Nissan Titan Player of the Game.
Well, it was a little bit of a slow start for the Montreal Alouettes quarterback, but eventually he got his bearings, especially in the second half, and turned it into another monster performance, completing 76% of his passes for 335 yards, 2 touchdowns. The bomb to Eugene Lewis seemed to get it all started. And guess who collects yet another win? It's our Nissan Titan Player of the Game, Vernon Adams Jr.
Brought to you by the Nissan Titan, ranked #1 in quality by J.D. Power. What does Vernon Adams do?
He wins.